that particular location, that person. But we're to summarise it in terms of the actual context. That's what we're after. I think this is kind of the nature of where I'm looking at as an area of. I talk to many, many different networks of educator-related or focused people, and they're not yet acknowledging location as a learning validation, as another attribute of the where. Who, yes, you enrolled. How, you logged on. But where were you? And that attribute of where were you as a geolocation environment in terms of validating compliance-based training, I think is, I could be totally naive, but I'm not seeing a lot of it within a lot of organisations. But I do see that as being an attribute of interest.
What about policing? What's your experience? That's the main.
Yeah. All of the technology that we're looking at, particularly body-worn POV, is moving towards, as Amal was saying earlier, and intimated, is RFID triggered devices, so that it won't turn on or do anything unless you're in proximity to an RFID chip. The devices themselves are all RFID chips. We've pulled a number of them apart and we find RFID chips inundated throughout that device because they're now geolocation worn. The unique ID card system, the person goes to the club, they've got their driver's license, it takes a photo of them, they go to the club, they muck up. CCTV camera may not capture them in the zone where they are. However, the bouncers that are in that environment, the security staff, are wearing identifiable, voice-tagged, location-enabled cameras. So it's a pervasive form of CCTV. The pervasive form of CCTV is enough. You could do enough in that space if you wanted to. That's becoming a mobile, wearable CCTV. No more than these. However, it leaves people hands-free to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. And the first sort of poo-poo type comment we get from people are, just take my phone in my hand. The idea is, yeah, you can, but are you doing it?
Get it implanted.
That's it.
They have patents on implantable PDAs.
Now Steve Mann's sort of exploration and pointing at ICANN is realised, it's very much realised, it's just now becoming more socially acceptable to wear it than it is to be embedded. However, if you have embedded systems that trigger different types of data sets to be recorded from wearable technology, that can be utilised in different reasons. And in terms of that whole tracking of where people are, in terms of that, goes back to that location as a learning validation. It's attributing location to something you've achieved and then being accredited for it, and then repurposed or reused. So that's just a brief snapshot. This is Reuters. Reuters are using all this already with journalists in the field. The repurposing of pulling these devices apart and reusing them for different reasons. Yesterday we've been given opportunity to trial a KaiShot device, which is a little receiver on here. It's a little device that can pop up on your helmet or glasses or so on. And through putting your SIM card in, it can transmit to anywhere whatsoever. And they're used a lot for all sorts of reasons, for tracking private security and so on. So as I'm saying, and I've made a very open declaration, we're dealing with broad sector, from early childhood through to the end of tertiary exploration. We're looking at a very defined, synthesised parameter of Australian national use of this within its territories. We're very aware that it's being used in very much accelerated motions in places like Korea, Japan, and so on. So that hopefully gives you a little bit of a brief snapshot on who we are, what we're doing, a little bit about me. I'm hoping I can meet you all socially, and we're very keen to, I say we, because I was invited to this as a presentation as a prospective PhD student, and I must apologise for the people that I missed out on actually chairing yesterday. I was railroaded downstairs with my application form to fill it out, so I was trying to get that done, so I apologise to the people I missed chairing. Now what I am actually pointing to, and I do think there's some opportunity here, I wouldn't want to leave this on a kind of a note of any perception that I am affiliating with people who have I suppose a hysteria. I'm not interested in hysteria, although I hear a lot, particularly within the sectors I've been working within. Here we have a system which is a back-to-base learning principle. Now, if you think about certain occupations, body-worn technology, it becomes the total shift. When they log on and when they log off, they're body-worn. When they log on and when they log off, they tend to be within certain domains of industry. Now, those industries are predominantly industries that are looking at security, containment, and also influence. So if we look at those, and then we realise that the educational sector from the Autistic Foundation through to other environments are using the same technologies, what are the inherent ethical frameworks that go with the production, distribution, and use of these technologies, particularly when we think of location as a validation? What does it open up in terms of risks inherent for the organisation itself? When it's docking these devices into its own LMS and its own CMS, CRM, authenticating by license the data that's being collected in the field, for industry to attribute and accredit that student for having attended and done industrial-based validation courses. And that's happening now. So heavens knows what's going to happen later. This is the Axon. It's used predominantly by the US for looking at tracking people, obviously in an environment, but it is very much a docking system. It goes back to a CRM, it's encoded, you can't do anything with the data. The data's being used in all sorts of different contexts, and particularly within a commercial context. So, there ends just a little bit about what I'm doing. So
You can take
any questions?
one question for Alex. Sorry about the
No.
Anyone want to give a question?
Can I just go on from a technical point of view? Sure. Well, I mean, I think that what you're doing is great. Like, I get it. But when you're taking the shot, how do you get rid of that motion and the head movement? Is there some sort of gyro in it?
There is in certain devices, and there is also the concept. I think that's what's actually becoming more apparent, that people are becoming the camera rather than wearing the camera. So for the first period of time, the first things that you do see within people recording with that is jerking.
Yeah.
After a period of time, people become very accustomed to actually living out what they're doing as being the camera rather than just wearing it. And that's what mainly is the human behaviour that eradicates any of that. So you get smooth action because they're acknowledging, and sometimes unconsciously, they're wearing the device. It's people shaking their head, but that's exactly what.
So it could be good training for poorly coordinated teenagers.
Yeah, very much so. Absolutely.
Just fantastic. A lot of questions, a lot of points, but like Katina said, I learned a lot of things. Even though I'd read a lot of your work, it's fantastic to hear you present it. The question I had was, when you speak of ethics, how do you guys go about? How do you personally go about defining the ethics in your work? I mean, you don't go to the philosophers. You don't go to the latest ethics text. What defines or determines your ethical perspectives?
It's a really good question. It's actually a big component of the application. What I've done is I've pointed out the fact that I'm very interested from an educational context. So that's the first signifier. If you then look within the notions of philosophers or within pedagogists, you'll then be led to believe that constructivism is the last nature of how a learner is attributed some form of democracy within the learning situation. But they're fast emerging notions and communities of practice, like people like George Siemens or Stephen Downes, who are looking at the network as a connectivist motion, that the network is derailing and eroding the nature of architectures. The architectures of network and social networking are more important to build and to be informed as to how to utilise learning sequence, particularly when it comes to interfacing with the technology. The technology can be as simple as writing with a pen, as you know, point signs, ciphers, or it can be used as an implement to do something harmful with. So it depends on what you're doing with the technology. As somebody said earlier, Amal, technology is inconsequential. It's the action and the behaviours of the people using that particular material, and ever increasingly services which are not known to the user, that are informing other environments, what that user is doing and why. So by attribution, or by disclosure, or non-disclosure, that's what's guiding the ethic. And that's why we're very interested in how do we consider when we distribute? How do we inform, and what do we inform from? So we're very much, I'm saying, we're very much instrumentally in a beginning phase of that information for people. and we have to be very careful about how we describe that, as I've kind of re-emphasised a number of times, within a creative, positive, educational context, taking into effect all the forms of violence, what it means, what it's being repurposed to be, and where the overlaps are, and the grey areas, and lots of grey areas. So if we shed some more light, it will answer that, and that's what informs the ethic. And I have no doubt that you will inform me an awful lot about things I should, or everyone will inform me what I should be considering.
Thank you so much.
No, at all.